Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Amirul Ilyas bin Amri and I'm from class PA1145D. My matrix number is 2019254808 and my teaching lecturer is Madam Atika. For today's video, I am going to show you a presentation for my case study for the subject FIN382, which is company analysis. For my part, I will cover the economic analysis and it is specifically for Malaysian economic outlook. So without further ado, let's begin a brief explanation about Malaysia's background. Located in Southeast Asia, Malaysia is a federation of 13 states and 3 federal territories. Malaysia's economic development strategy is based on 3 long-term policies, which are the New Economic Policy, the National Development Policy, and the National Vision Policy. The analysis that we are going to explore here is mainly based on 3 indicators, which are GDP, inflation rate, and unemployment rate. These indicators are fully utilized as a medium to measure the economic performance of chosen country from year to year. So, I will proceed with GDP of Malaysia for the year 2018 until 2020 as our first indicator of measuring the country's economic performance. First and foremost, Malaysia's GDP growth grew by 4.7% in 2018 with a gross domestic product of 1.23 trillion at constant prices and 1.43 trillion ringgit at current prices. The services and manufacturing sectors contribute the most to the positive performance. The service sectors accounted for 56% of GDP, meanwhile manufacturing sector in Malaysia contributes almost 80% of overall country export. All of this was driven by a stronger external sector performance and robust private consumption, assisted by strong labor force. In the year 2019, Malaysia's economy shrunk by 4.3% last year compared to 4.7% from the previous year. According to Bank Negara, this was the slowest growth rate in the decade, resulting to lower output of palm oil, crude oil and natural gas, as well as a drop in exports due to the US and China trade war, also a decline in agricultural, mining and manufacturing output. Despite all the downturns in 2019, it is still not the worst yet. In the year 2020, the expectation of slower growth in GDP has proven to be true as the Malaysian GDP shrunk by negative 5.6%, mainly caused by the rising cases of COVID-19 infection. The government has implemented multiple phases of Movement Control Order (MCO), which restricts domestic travels, curfew for people to remain indoors between specific hours, also limitations on business activities which lead into slower economic growth. Moving on to the next part, inflation rate. Inflation is defined as a long increase in the average price level of goods and services in a given economy. Consumers would have to pay more for the same amount of goods and service due to both supply and demand factors. In the year 2018, the inflation rate for Malaysia was evaluated at 0.97%, the inflation rate falling to a 9-year low of 0.97% in 2018, which partially caused by the government transition after the 14th general election. Some drastic changes in policies and economic planning has been made during Pakatan Harapan's tenure as government, such as termination of GST, which led to a lower inflation rate than the year before. While in 2019, inflation rate in Malaysia continuously decreasing to a rate of 0.66%, which was 0.22% lower than the year before. This recorded the lowest rate of inflation in 10 years for the country. The falling rate was contributed by the declines of several factors such as low global crude oil prices and government's decision to delay the commencement of the targeted fuel subsidy program. As for 2020, the inflation rate in Malaysia has plunged into negative figures, which was recorded at a rate of negative 1.14%. The COVID-19 has brought a big impact on the consumer price index as most consumers lost their purchasing power due to termination of jobs caused by business shutdowns. The transportation price also continued to drop throughout the pandemic as travel restrictions were implemented in the country. Utilities price also decreased as the government mandated electricity rebates for households to reduce the burden of people, considering the fact large portion of households was unemployed. Moving on to the unemployment rate, unemployment is considered as a bad indicator. Most people suffer from poverty due to unemployment and job loss as they struggle to discover the source of income. It refers to the percentage of the total labor who are jobless although actively looking for work. Starting from 2018, the unemployment rate in Malaysia is at 3.3%. According to the most recent Department of Statistics Malaysia data, 518,600 Malaysians were unemployed in July 2018. The factors are mostly being lack of experience in the available field and the nature of job choice for fresh graduates based on their qualifications. Meanwhile, in 2019, the unemployment rate in Malaysia has decreased by 0.1% at the rate of 3.2%. As of 2020, the unemployment rate in Malaysia roses up to 4.5%. This figure has grew concern among the citizens as many households are suffering from job loss and source of income. The reason behind the gruesome change is because the impact from MCO, which implemented by the government in March 2020 to prevent the spread of COVID-19 disease. Most business households has been handicapped as they have to adhere to government regulations and SOPs. As a result, many employees were terminated to reduce the cost of expense for business owners. In conclusion, the recession period since the end of 2019 is not only affecting Malaysia's economic performance. In fact, it is a global issue which caused the whole world to suffer by the outbreak. Malaysia is still moving forward to prevent the disease by providing vaccines for its people and expect economical recovery by the beginning of 2022. With all those informations and data, those are the analysis that I have done for my Malaysian economic case study. I hope all of you can enjoy the video and share your thoughts. See you again and goodbye.